So I've been absent from social media for 2 reasons. Reason 1 is because on Tuesday the 5th of October my phone was stolen. Somebody pickpocketed it from my pocket while I was out shopping for Elijah. Reason 2, Wednesday the 6th of October I experienced a miscarriage. Many would say, why is she sharing this? Why is she sharing her story? Why is she speaking of something so personal to her social media, her following, friends and family? Well, I'll tell you why. This is how I'm coping, speaking about it. And I'd be in a very dark place if I didn't speak of this. 1 in 8 pregnancies will end in a miscarriage. However, I was a woman who thought I would never have one. Super naive of me, not educated enough on the topic. Whether you were pregnant for days, weeks or months, every single pregnancy matters. So this is my story. Reese is literally just feeding Elijah and whispering. I've got to now go and tell them that baby number 2 is on the way. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Thank you. I got to tell my nan. I got to tell my mum. I got to tell my mum. So you can see how super happy I was when I found out we were expecting baby number 2. Oh, I was so over the moon. I was so happy. Part of me thought, oh God, here we go again. But it's that excitement of the not knowing, and for me, just discovering that I was pregnant again, I was just like, ooh. super happy. So that was a Saturday evening. It was actually the week before I obviously had a miscarriage, so I just knew, obviously I'd been pregnant before, and I just knew I'd missed a period. And I follow the app called Flow, and I was 2 days late on my period. So Reese went up to Bromley and I asked him to get me a twin pack of the Clear Blue pregnancy test, and that evening I did it. It was a positive, and I just spent a little moment in the bathroom composing myself, letting all the tears out, thanking my granddad, because we had been trying for a baby, and we were blessed. We were truly blessed. And when I found out, I knew Reese was obviously in the living room with Elijah, feeding him. We're feeding him at the moment because he currently gets his food everywhere, and half of it ends up on the floor and he's just not eating it. So we started to feed him again. So yeah, I walked out from the bathroom into the living room and I held the test up and I said, we're pregnant. Immediately I started crying. Reese was like, oh no. But he was super excited. He was like, oh my God, Elijah's gonna have somebody to play with. And when he said that, Elijah was making noises like, like he knew what was going on, and it just fitted the perfect timing. Like he knew he was about to become a big brother, and that's what made it very, very special. And that evening I made us some food. Reese kept asking me if I was okay, because I think I was in a little bit of a shock, because I don't know, I've always kind of had that bad feeling of, will I have another child? You know, pregnancy is very hard, and a lot of women aren't fortunate enough to fall pregnant, so it's always in the back of my mind. So yeah, we had a bit of food and we just chilled for the rest of the evening. I was 5 weeks pregnant. Wednesday the 6th of October morning, I woke up and everything was fine. But while I slept, I was having serious bad anxiety over my phone being stolen. Purely because there were pictures of Elijah on there as newborn, pictures of my granddad, and I started to panic, thinking I'll never see them again. Because I have a lot of pictures, I have over 25,000 pictures on my phone. Sometimes my iCloud pauses and doesn't update itself, so I was having a huge anxiety attack in my dream while I slept. I woke up and everything was fine. Sat on the sofa, Elijah was playing by my feet. I was having a tea, just chilling out as you do. And then Reese got up, he had a tea. And that's usually my cue to go to the toilet, because if I go to the toilet while Daddy's still asleep, Elijah will follow me literally all the way to the toilet. So yeah. I wiped, and this was the start of my miscarriage. It started with light spotting, and immediately I just knew. I called out to Reese and I said, I think I'm having a miscarriage. He was like, what? What? I said, I'm bleeding. And bless him, he didn't know what to do or say. So pulled myself together, calmed myself down, because at this moment it was only light spotting. And of course I had no phone to FaceTime my mum, so I jumped on the laptop, FaceTimed her, and I kept the bloody tissue, TMI, so sorry. And I said, Mum, I think I'm having a miscarriage. And again she was like, what? And I showed her the tissue, and she knew as well. Bless my mum, because she's had 2 miscarriages in her time. And exactly how my spotting was, that's how my mum was. And she knew, but she kept me so strong, and she was strong for me. She said, call the doctors, get them to refer you to the hospital for a scan, and please stay calm. And she come off the phone. I used Reese's phone to call the doctors, and the doctor actually called me back within the hour. And I said, I believe I'm having a miscarriage. He called it a threat miscarriage. And I said, do you know when I'm likely to get an appointment? And he said, it'll either be today or it'll be 24 hours, so tomorrow. And that's when my appointment was. It was the next day. So I spent all Wednesday at home, chilling and trying not to stress myself out. And of course the bleeding got worse as the day went on. It was still light, but there was more blood. Spotting actually then turned into teeny tiny clots. And I knew, I just knew. And there was a little small piece of something in the back of my mind, and I was like, no, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine. We're probably just like having a clear out, just having a clear out, you know. You just think of these things, you know, because you don't want it to be what you already know it is. So it was late afternoon, around 2, and Reese started getting ready to go into work because he was working the late shift. Looking back now, I could have really have done with him being at home, but he works so hard for us, he really does. The strangest thing is, I almost felt like Elijah knew, because he did not leave my side. He kept cuddling me, he kept wanting to be with me, he kept looking up at me and smiling. It was like he knew. "8 p.m. come, and I started burning up, and I felt really, really unwell. And I FaceTimed my mum again on the laptop, and I said, "Mum, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I feel like I'm gonna pass out." And I actually tried to call, is it 111? Because of course you don't think you're an emergency, you don't want to waste the ambulance time. And I got myself to the floor because I knew if I got myself to the floor, 1, I wouldn't hurt myself, and 2, I knew Elijah would sit next to me because he was awake at this time. And I tried so hard to be strong for him. Anyway, that feeling passed, and I got myself a cold flannel and some water. And again, Elijah, he must have known. He fell asleep, but he didn't want to sleep in his room, so I slept him on the sofa. And that's where he stayed. I was sitting there, everything felt normal and fine. But then the burning feeling of like a hot flush kept coming over me, and it got worse. And I was getting like mild cramping. I don't know how to say this. Thankfully, lucky enough, I didn't have bad pains, but the cramping wasn't, it was very uncomfortable. My mum called me because I left the laptop on, and she said, "How are you feeling?" I said, "Not great." She said, "Where's the baby?" I said, "He's asleep on the sofa." I said, "Mum, I feel like I need to go to the toilet, but I'm scared." And I think this is because I knew. She said to me, "Do you want me to come over?" And I said, "No, it's fine. My mum's so busy, bless her, and my dad, like, decorating." And I was like, "Mum, please, like, you're here for me. You're right here." So I left my mum on FaceTime on the laptop while I went to the toilet. And if you've been to my house, you know that the layout is 1 level, and the living room to the bathroom is quite close, so she could hear me, and I left the door wide open. I sat on the toilet and it was coming up to 9 o'clock. And I gave myself a wipe, and on the tissue my pregnancy was there. I'd passed the pregnancy, and I've got to say, it is the worst feeling in the entire world. And I'm so truly blessed to have Elijah, because I could not imagine losing him. And I feel my heart goes out to all the women who have miscarried or who have lost the baby. I was shaking and there was a lot of clots in the toilet. The pregnancy itself was like a little jelly type figure. And unfortunately that is something that is going to stay in my mind for a very long time. It's not going to be easy to forget, and I probably never ever will forget. And in that moment I forgot that I'd left my mum on the laptop, and she heard everything. She absolutely heard me breaking my heart. I couldn't breathe. And I just kept saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I kept blaming myself, like, what did I do? Was it the coffee? Was it the pregnancy vitamins? Silly, really silly of me, but it was just because I was so naive. I had one last look at the pregnancy and I remember saying, I'm sorry, and you'll always be in my heart. That was that. I got up and I walked into the living room and my mum was absolutely breaking her heart because she heard everything. So thankful that I've got a mum like my mum, because she had my back. She had my back and she was there for me. She said to me, I'm coming round, I'm coming round. I said, no, it's fine, please, like, please don't stress. I'm absolutely fine. I pulled myself together because on the sofa was my beautiful little boy Elijah, sleeping like an absolute angel, snoring. So I had to stop crying for him. That's why I felt so unwell and so hot and shaky and like I was going to pass out, because I was actually passing the pregnancy at that time. I obviously had no phone at this time either, so I had to come off of FaceTime to my mum, and on Facebook, luckily now, you can actually call. So I called Reese. Oh. And I actually asked him if I scared him a couple of days after the phone call, and he said, yes, you did. I rang him and I told him what had happened. And all he could say was, oh my God, oh my God. He's handled this so good, and he's been my absolute rock. Him, Elijah and my mum have been an absolute rock of mine, and I'm so lucky and I'm so thankful that I have those three important people in my life. Reese was actually at work until 10, so I pulled myself together and made myself a sweet cup of tea, and I actually felt a lot better after. Over the last couple of days I have not stopped crying. I'm obviously going to get some good days and some bad days, and that's okay. I'm allowed to get upset, I'm allowed to feel this way, I'm only human. I know I will be blessed again with a pregnancy when the time is right. And getting me through this is my beautiful boys, my amazing family, and I've got some very big exciting things coming up career-wise, so I need to pull myself together and be the Dolly that everyone knows me as, and that who I know who I am. So I actually went to the hospital, and this was the day after my miscarriage, and my appointment was number 11, time 11 o'clock, and my number to be called was 11. Take that how you want to take it, but I was like, wow. And I felt a piece of a calm sensation run through me at that time. I went in expecting a scan, but I was having an internal. And I told the nurse when I walked in, I believe my pregnancy has already ended. And when she checked me, she told me that my egg had come from my right ovary this time, and that there was no more pregnancy. After that had happened, I had gone to have some blood tests and to do another pregnancy test to see if it was gone, because the nurse was saying sometimes when these tests say that you're pregnant, it doesn't show. And I said, but I'm 5 weeks, something would show. And she said, not necessarily, it's still very early. And I somehow wish she didn't say that, because it gave me hope, but I knew I'd passed the pregnancy. The bloods came back, no pregnancy. The pregnancy test, negative, not pregnant. And that was my clarification that I was no longer pregnant. Reese was waiting outside the green zone on the green floor, Women's Health at Lewisham Hospital, for around 3 hours with the baby. Elijah slept the whole time, he was such a good boy. But that man waited out there for 3 hours for me just to make sure I was okay. And I had to go and walk out there and tell him that we had lost the baby. He gave me the biggest cuddle, the biggest kiss, and told me how beautiful I am, and that our time will definitely come again. Everybody at Lewisham Hospital was so lovely. The nurses are so humble, and they really did look after me that day, all of them. So I want to say thank you to the nurses who did help me that day. Thank you to everybody who has tuned into this video, who has watched it. I wanted to share my story. For one, it's made me feel a lot better. Two, I didn't want to keep it all wrapped up and make it bad on my mental health. And three, I wanted to make it aware that any woman can go through this. And the women who have gone through this, please know that I am here for you. We're here for each other, and the worst is over. And if we can get through this, we can get through anything. Once again, thank you so much for watching, guys. And thank you to all of you supporting me. It means a lot.